I remember my parents are Canadian, and they moved us down. Well, I wasn't around when they moved us down to America, but when I was young, there was a time where some people were sitting around our living room, and someone made kind of a disparaging comment about Jews.
Yeah.
And both my mother and father had not gotten that negative Jewish condition. They were from the Midwest of Canada. You don't get that same kind of prejudice. And they both kind of looked at each other curiously, and there was a disconnect in the communication, because it was like somebody
they didn't share the bias.
Somebody all of a sudden lapsing into French in the middle of an English conversation. Right. And if you look at our cultures, they're built on these various us and them dichotomies.
Exactly.
And the beauty of the mystical experience or the psychedelic experience or love or art is that it can take you into that structure, that reality, where those kinds of dichotomies can't exist. And that's sitting inside of us, kind of underneath the personality.
I guess the question is there going to be enough time for the species to transcend that fundamental limitation?
Right. Well, that's the question.
Take climate change. The amount of cooperation you have to have that would bust every one of those tribal biases in order to save the planet. And that's like a window of probably 30 to 50 years maximum. And a lot of people say it's already too late.
Right. And we don't know.
We don't know. But what we see is on the international stage, all the kind of tribal posturing that is still there at the political level, right around the world, is that there isn't the sense of reaching out, that we're all one species, we all occupy one place, and that there is not another place for us to go to.
Right. Well, oftentimes, at least on the individual level, when a person gets closer to the edge where change is necessary, that's where the greatest defense system is created. And that's, it's like you could say that the fundamentalist traditions are now ramping up because it's the last straw for them. People are moving out of a fundamentalist position. There's more secular people coming along, and as that happens, as I say, both individually and in groups, people get more rigidified and it gets more intense. So that might be what we're seeing, the last gasp of tribalism. I hope so.
Well, I hope you're right. I just saw the other day where 2/3 of Americans believe that human beings, the species, are created by God, not through evolution.
Yeah.
So we still have these rigid, dogmatic, ideological, religious belief systems that are huge walls to overcome in a short period of time.
Well, I don't think they're going to be overcome. I don't think that can happen, because we're talking about a person's basic identity. The question is, in that system, is there a living process that can be connected to, that transcends the dogma? And I see that as much a difficulty with the scientific method as I do with faith-based people.
Then where will it come? Where will the epiphany come, where people suddenly say, oh, right, the tribalistic impulses we have brought the planet to the point of almost no return. We have to turn away from that. What in the system, what within the species will cause people to have that moment of reflection?
A big enough, like a Chernobyl 10 times over. I'm thinking of, in 1989, there was a pretty strong earthquake in San Francisco. and I was working with a client, a psychologist at that point. We were up on the 6th floor in an old building, and the building just went whoosh, like this, really, and we were on a side, the side of the building, and we could see where the ceiling cracked, and you could see the sky outside. So I suggested that we get the hell out of there as quickly as we could, which we did. And we got down onto, this was Mission Street, right downtown San Francisco, and the street was filled with people. Just everybody had evacuated, and people were basically asking each other, "Did everybody get out of your building? Do you think there's anybody left?" And the sense of unity there was total. And that kind of situation, maybe we just have to get to a place where the sun's blotted out for 3 days and everybody says, "Hey, let's get this one together." It's very easy for the intellect and the mind to try to create a reality. Okay, this is how things are. This is what we naturally do to create a sense of solidity. And yet that's not how things are. Buckminster Fuller said, "I seem to be a verb." Well, what a powerful statement that is. I seem to be a verb. I'm not a William, I'm a Williaming.
We're human beings. We're not human doings.
Either that or we're both. The being moves into
but the being is a very special kind of thing. I was just last night having a look at a book about Stoicism, the Stoics, and it's because there's a lot of Buddhism similarities there, but part of it, what seems to me an interesting cycle over historical time, is the role of rational, logical, deliberative thought on the one side, and artistic, more non-linear, creative thought, whether it's through music, through dance, through poetry, through drama,
through religion.
And religion is part of that. Religion was an essential patron of the arts.
Sure.
From painting to music.
Yeah. Well, it might have been the beginnings of religion.
Yeah. And you had artist priests, as it were. And so that there was that combination. Religion was the arts, and it was science. And then you started to have these breakaway, where you had scientists who said, no, it's Copernicus. We know what happened, or almost happened to him. Almost lost his head by the radical idea that the Earth goes around the sun. Yeah.